Anne approached life like an adventure, a journey that she wanted to share with everyone that she loved, and she took all of us along for the ride.
Anne was born on January 24th, 1947, in a DP camp in Salzburg. Our parents were both survivors of the Holocaust. Our mother, Eva, was an artist. Her mother, back in Europe, was also an artist.
Seeing her painting and how important it was to her, how expressive she was, it has given me a love for art.
When Anne and I grew up in Los Angeles, we were living in immigrant housing, and we had no grandparents, no extended family. My younger brother, Sammy, didn't come onto the scene until I was 8 years old, and Anne at that time was 13 years old. But as a young child, I completely idolized Anne because she was so cool. Our parents were true religious Zionists. We grew up believing that Israel was the solution to the Jewish people being able to move forward into the world, having our own identity. We belonged to Shaarei Tzedek congregation. Anne started going to B'nai Akiva.
I met Anne when we were 14 years old in camp, and we became a couple when we were just 16. We were babies.
I was the little brother watching my older sister have a relationship with this guy who I thought was perfect.
Truly attracted me to Anne, in addition to the fact that she was beautiful, was that she was very warm and giving. She had an idealism which I shared.
My parents had an incredible relationship. They were high school sweethearts.
Lee and I got married when we were very young. We were both 19.
We lived modestly. She was a secretary at UCLA, and I was a student, working nights as a youth director.
I knew that he was a dreamer, and he had vision, and that he was really a go-getter.
Rabbi Stolper, who was the national director of NCSY, came to Los Angeles in the late 1960s.
Rabbi Stolper was always this luminary. When he would come to the West Coast, we were dealing with the person that was the father of NCSY, the father of the Kiruv movement for high school, public school students, and a real visionary.
NCSY created an organization that made it possible for young people to meet other young people, to be able to bring their own Jewishness to their families and to their friends.
I was inspired by him. He invited me to join him for a national convention, and I was wowed by what I saw.
Lee started as a synagogue youth director and then started the first chapter of NCSY on the West Coast, and then became the regional director. He was the Pied Piper.
My vision was to incorporate Judaism of warmth and giving, in particular with social action.
Lee was always an innovator. He was always able to read the tea leaves. There were Save Soviet Jewry rallies. We were doing all kinds of things, and Lee and Anne were motivating us. And they were this golden couple.
She was so humble, so sincere. What a powerful example she was to them, that he was a true Eshes Chayil, that was a true teacher.
She was explaining to these young women that Judaism can be joyous, the warmth of Shabbos and the singing on Shabbos.
Ima loved NCSY. She loved the kids, she loved entertaining, she loved cooking for the kids.
She talked to them about bringing up a family, having children that could enjoy it along with them.
I can only imagine the amazing advice and role model that my mother was to all of the NCSYers and to the women, because I personally know the amazing support and the advice and the impact that she always had on me.
I was unaware of the impact she had on these young women until I received letters after the tragic accident which took her life.
I first met Anne in 1979 when Bobby and I got married. Anne and Lee made a beautiful Sheva Brachas for us, and at the time Anne was working full-time, and she stayed up the entire night cooking, and she cooked it all with love.
Ima made Shabbos incredibly special. Her challahs were unbelievable.
The challah, the chicken soup, the cholent, roasted chicken, the kugels.
Everyone had their favorite dishes. Mine was persimmon pudding, or kugel. And every year I hoped that that would be the week that they would invite us over.
In a Jewish home, a Jewish mother cooks. A Jewish mother has to make sure that her children and her husband are well fed. That's just how we are.
She was always so normal, down to earth, and relaxed, yet unbelievably gracious and regal. She had so many beautiful qualities that people remember.
Anne absolutely loved to sing. And I do think that it began at the Shabbos table with our family.
The singing around our Shabbos table is just so incredible.
Tons of singing, tons of laughter. We just loved life. We loved to celebrate.
The only thing I remember is the music. It was just a beautiful place to be.
I have never seen a husband adore a wife the way Lee adored Anne.
When you say Lee and Anne, you think of one.
We've grown up together over all these years.
We played Scrabble together, and we did the crossword puzzles together. We took walks along the beach. We went on trips all over the world.
And the mutual respect that they had for one another, the sensitivity, the consideration, it is an example for everyone to learn from.
My parents were an amazing team together. Through so many things that they did, they changed the lives of so many people that they touched.
If you think of my parents' relationship as a symphony, I think my father had the role of the conductor, and my mother was the producer, because she just always made things happen.
We are just so grateful to have this beautiful family and have a wonderful relationship and have fabulous friends.
Her children and her grandchildren were her life. She and my father were all about family.
One of the most important and enduring lessons that I learned from my mother is how important family is.
Donnie, Aliza, and Tali, their spouses, and our 14 grandchildren were her life. She couldn't do enough for them. She was the perfect Ima and the perfect Savta.
Anne's enduring legacy in this community will always have multiple facets and images. I'll always think of Anne as the NCSY founder along with Lee and what she did for so many high school students in this community.
These teenagers that Anne was talking to are now part of this community, and many of them are the leaders of this community.
After Lee and Anne were no longer directly involved in NCSY, their role in the community expanded.
They became benefactors of institutions around the world, benefiting the state of Israel, Jewish communities in the United States and internationally.
Their approach to service was the same. They were gracious, they were warm, and they were committed.
We're thankful to Hashem that we can give back to the community.
Opening our home and giving to other people was what made Anne, Anne. Hachnasas Orchim was a big part of our life.
One of the great characteristics that I remember about Anne Samson is, as it says in the Talmud, Lo Shina. She never changed who she was.
She cared about people. That was the essence of her life, the people she loved.
I believe that Anne's legacy will be that of a bridge between a broken generation that was coming from the ashes of the Holocaust to rebuild Jewish life in a most dynamic, amazing way.
If you're to remember Anne, you think of her children and her grandchildren. You think of her family. Because of them, Anne's memory will live on.
I miss Anne terribly. What I miss the most is her unconditional love, her warmth, and her laughter.